My partner, Michael, and I decided to go down to the Trafford Centre for dinner on Sunday. The Trafford Centre, I believe, is one of the largest shopping centres in Europe and one of the biggest temples of worship to capitalism that I have ever seen. It actually looks like a cross between a temple and showy, elaborate palace with its multicoloured domes and towers lighting up the night sky and visible for miles around. I would imagine so spectacular is its lighting that it may even be visible from outer space. The Orient car park said full, but Michael, ever the optimist, decided to take his chances. We struggled for over half an hour to outwit other motorists trying to get a parking space, which was like gold. When that didn't work because other drivers were better at guile and subterfuge than we were, we decided to copy some others and stalk shoppers coming out of the centre as they made their way back to their cars. We cackled and gloated triumphantly in true Ebenezer Scrooge style at the look of elation followed by devastation on the face of a driver who was stalking our victim too, only to realise at the last minute that we had spotted him first and had already positioned ourselves to claim the prize of the coveted parking bay. I expected a heated exchange of words and rude gestures, as we had already seen several times between other motorists, but like a true sportsman, the driver of the other car conceded defeat with a smile and a cheery wave. Safe in the knowledge that the bay was ours after experiencing the same disappointment, we could afford to smile back now sympathetically while we tried not to look too smug. Giggling like children, Michael and I entered the building under the blank eyes of the marble unicorns, other mythical creatures and Roman figures blowing golden trumpets. Stone lions with equally lifeless eyes graced the outer courtyards at measured intervals between the giant pillars. We climbed the terracotta and cream steps of the great hall, made from finest marble in China, to the bars, cafes and restaurants offering food for every palate. The hall boasts the largest and most spectacular chandelier in the world, also made in China. Having finished our meal, I resisted the temptation of the shopping mall with a little help from Michael, who covered my eyes as we passed the jewellers. Pointing out the beautiful decorations, he cleverly distracted and manoeuvred me along the lines of statues of sphinxes and pharaohs lining the walls and leading visitors to the miles of inviting shops, touting brand names to suit every size and taste. "Kel, you don't need anything. Don't get sucked in, man. What's wrong with you?" he said, when he thought he might be losing the battle. "These shops all use the latest brainwashing retail techniques to catch your interest and pull you in, while all the time the incessant merry music." "Don't be such a grouch, Michael," I said. "Where's your Christmas spirit?" But I understood exactly what he meant. Jingle bells, ho, 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 ho. The joke's on you. While we mesmerize you with sublime lighting and sale signs, we fleece you of every penny in your purse or wallet, or take you beyond the limit of your credit card. We wish you a Merry Christmas, ho, 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 and a suicidal New Year when your bank statement arrives in January. It's a family tradition in our house to go downstairs Christmas morning in our night clothes. I make hot chocolate and toast. We put the fire on in the living room and the Christmas tree lights on and open our presents. Throughout the Christmas season, my extended family usually get together at a different relative's house for dinner each day. Generally, this is fine, but it can get out of hand and end in people falling out. Last year was no exception. This year it was unanimously decided that each family would spend Christmas Day in their own house. Last year, Christmas dinner was at our house. All went well until we broke out the chocolate liqueurs after the Queen's speech. Alcohol is a wonderful lubricant. At the same time it loosens the tongue, it seems to loosen the screws of the brain, and people begin to feel this is a good time to speak their minds. My Aunt Bliss took it upon herself to tell my cousin Myra a few home truths about her parenting skills, or lack of it. Now, I know most of what Auntie Bliss said was true, but everyone agreed that this was not a good time to criticize Cousin My as her husband George walked out on her a few Christmases ago. Your picnic spoil like rotten pear, and your husband right for run well left you, were not the best choice of words on this occasion, Auntie Bliss. Cousin Mai was looking for sympathy when she started crying into her 5th glass of sherry. Mum is right. If you had given Mai that sympathy, then she might not have thrown the rest of her sherry in your face. Tiana, Cousin Mai's daughter, calling you a stupid old cow was not very nice, but that's Tiana. You knew there were no taxis running when you stormed out, and that Uncle Al had finished the half bottle of brandy, so he was in no fit state to drive. You have no one to blame but yourself for having to walk 5 miles home in your high heels. How did you expect poor Uncle Al, drunk as he was and unable to walk a straight line, to carry you on his back? It wasn't his fault you mash up your knee, as you put it. The police had no choice but to arrest you both when they saw you rolling on the ground after Uncle Al fell with you for the 2nd time. It could have had something to do with all the shouting you were doing and Uncle Al being completely incoherent. Nothing at all to do with racism, Auntie. Anyway, you managed to convince them at the station, eventually, that you weren't fighting. Although the officer was adamant that he saw you punch Uncle Al. Uncle Al was just angry when he told them he wanted to press charges and that they should lock you up for the night. They saw the funny side of it. Eventually. At least you got a lift home. Never mind what the neighbours thought. The police officer did explain to you that the riot van was all they had available. And that he really did press the button for the flashing lights and siren by accident outside your house. Oh, and by the way, Auntie Bliss, the police do not have Uncle Al listed in their files as a victim of domestic violence. Stop worrying. They're not watching you. They've got better things to do. On a personal note, I did tell Michael that under no circumstances was he getting into that car to come after you because he'd helped Uncle Al to finish the brandy. And yes, Michael does wear the trousers in our house, and if I hear you've been calling him a wimp again, you and I might have to fall out. Uncle Al, Pastor Franklin did explain that when Michael said that none of you was to put your foot in his rotted house again, it was just a figure of speech. I gave Michael a good talking to when he sobered up, and he assures me that he didn't mean it, and he doesn't even remember saying that anyway. So, if any of you want to stay overnight when you visit us now, you can, because Michael isn't sleeping in the spare room anymore. We had some very good family get-togethers this year. I really missed seeing you guys for the whole of January and February when we weren't speaking. I've already thanked Pastor Franklin and Pastor Smiley for being such good mediators. They could teach Kofi and Anne a thing or two. Cousin Myra has taken Pastor Smiley's advice and has put less rum in the Christmas cake this year. And she's also started her counselling sessions to help her to come to terms with George leaving. So, family, I'll see you all this year after the Queen's speech for sherry and mince pies at our house. There will be the usual games of Monopoly and Scrabble. Oh, by the way, Cousin Babsy, phoning a friend is not allowed in Scrabble. That's cheating. And you should also know by now that QQXXPTZ is not a word in the English dictionary. So please, don't box the Scrabble board across the room and walk out again this year. I'm dreaming of a table groaning under its weight of turkey and assorted meats, the best china and glassware, and Bing Crosby singing I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. I think we might be getting that white Christmas this year, Bing. As I sit here untangling the Christmas lights, the snow has stopped for the moment. A couple of robins start fighting over breadcrumbs, but the cat from next door soon sees them off. At the sight of the cat, Michael is immediately alert. His eyes narrow and he looks up at his homemade catapult hanging behind the back door. He has still not forgiven the cat since it knocked over the bowl of chicken and ran off with some of it when the men had their barbecue in the summer. Michael, leave the cat alone. It's nearly Christmas. Surely you can extend peace on earth and goodwill to all men to the poor cat. Michael thinks about it for a while. Okay, babes, just for you. We'll call a temporary truce until after Christmas. Then watch out, puss. It will be open season on your behind. Oh dear. Merry Christmas.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. For the fields we go.